Good afternoon, everyone. It's Global Weather Updates here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion. It's August 6th, 2020, and we've got quite a bit to talk about in today's video. So, Colorado State University have updated their forecast for the hurricane season. It came out yesterday, and that's from Dr. Klotzbach and his team at Colorado State. And then also NOAA have just updated at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then also, after we'll talk about that, we're going to be looking at the models and see what they're potentially showing. And then we'll be looking at the ocean heat content and the sea surface temperatures and like the MGO, like, which I'll get in at the end, and that because the MGO is gonna become a big player as we go on towards the end of the month, and also the convectively coupled Kelvin wave as well. So I'll talk about that as we go on into the video. But first off, so Colorado State University from Dr. Klotzbach, so they've upgraded their total named storms to 24, and they've also forecasted 12 hurricanes, so that hasn't changed, in 5 major hurricanes. So basically, the forecasting a hyperactive season here, and that should not be taken lightly at all. That's like pretty serious, and by the 24 is including all the storms we've had so far. So really, by this definition, we could see in about 15 named storms, maybe more, but it depends because their range goes to 27. But like, so like, say it's 24, you look at another 15 named storms, then you look at potentially another 10 hurricanes and another 5 major, and then accumulated cyclone energy. So accumulated cyclone energy is basically how much energy they release. So like, if there's a category 5, that could release 3.6 ACE in, say, a certain amount of hours. So like, every cyclone builds up so basically every cyclone generates energy, and like, the stronger the cyclone and the hurricane or the typhoon, the more cyclonic energy they create, and the higher that is, there's been more storms and stronger storms. So that ACE is also range between like 150 and 250 around about. So there's a big range in ACE. So but all in all, Colorado State University has been extremely like bullish with the forecast, and like they've like, this forecast is the most bullish they've ever been. So that's quite a testament of like what they're seeing here. If we look at NOAA here, they've just updated it. They're giving it 85% chance of an above normal season. So it's basically very, very likely we're gonna go above normal here. And then there's a 5% chance of below normal. So basically, it's not really on the table anymore. It still is, because it's still percent, like 5% chance, but it's basically not gonna happen. It looks like, because the GMA, the ACM, and like other models are showing as the weeks go on, and as the month or so goes on, we're going to be seeing a lot more rise in motion in the Atlantic and the Caribbean and the Gulf, and even like the northern parts of the subtropical region. So as we go on, it looks like it's going to get more hyperactive, and I think towards the end of the month, is my opinion, is when we're going to see stuff really pick up, because at the minute we're in a positive phase of the convectively coupled Kelvin wave, which a positive convectively coupled Kelvin wave is basically when the atmosphere is suppressing downwards. Obviously, if you want cyclones to form, you want rise in motion, and like, when you have rise in motion, which like will be from a negative convectively coupled Kelvin wave, when that's negative, it promotes more rise in motion, and that also like basically shows that there's going to be a lot more convection, and like, if the surface temperatures are warm enough, if like wind shear's like warm enough, it'll be able to consolidate, and it'll be able to release latent heat, and then as it gets into even warmer waters, it'll release more latent heat, and then it'll get more it'll like consolidate more, then it'll be on its way. So in the minute we're in a positive phase, which is basically not really supporting storms. It doesn't mean if it's positive convectively coupled Kelvin wave, it doesn't mean no storms can happen. It can happen, Gonzalo formed in a positive phase. But that also helped because Gonzalo was like quite a small storm as well. So like it doesn't mean if the convectively coupled Kelvin wave is positive, and like it means it's not promoting rise of motion. Don't think no storms can form, but because they actually can, but it's not as likely as it would be if it was in a negative phase. And as we go on throughout this month, the negative phase is going to start coming for the Eastern Pacific, and it looks like it's going to strengthen into the Atlantic, which will promote potentially the start of a hyperactive phase. So NOAA is going for 19 to 25 named storms. That's a jump up from the previous update. They're going for 7 to 11 hurricanes and 3 to 6 major hurricanes, and obviously this is including what's happening now in like this season. And like this is one of the bullish one of the most bullish forecasts they've done as well. So NOAA, Colorado State, and there's also other 20 odd like university states and agencies are also forecasting basically either active or hyperactive season. So as we're going throughout the throughout this month into more favoured climatologically, we're gonna see potentially a lot more storms forming here. So we're gonna look at the GFS first and see what like that shows here. So as we go on, basically, so now as we're going into the weekend, there's nothing much really going on. So basically until like the middle of the month, really, it's looking pretty quiet. I'm only gonna go out to around 5 days or so, because as you go past that, it's too unreliable. So actually I'll just go to 150 hours. But I won't go past that. So basically, as far as I'm going to go, so basically around Wednesday, the tropics are quiet. We've got a big Bermuda high here, promoting quite a bit drier in the MDR. But as we go on throughout the month and into the peak climatologically, basically that'll lift more north and that, and then basically the African easterly wave is going to get more pronounced, and it's going to start pushing the dryer further north, and then there'll be a train of them coming off, and then basically if wind shear is low enough, which we're in a La Nina, so that promotes even low vertical wind shear, that's going to promote more storms. But basically from now until the middle of the month, it's looking quite quiet, but after the middle of the month onwards, we could see some activity picking up. So if you look at the ACM here, so it'll be updating like roughly now really the new ACM, but that'll take another hour or so to update, so I won't show that one. I'll just show this the 0C run. So if we go through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, there is a little bit of cyclonic spin coming off Africa, but it's not really in a favourable environment really. And as we go on, it's just really a wave right now. And then as we go on throughout Friday here, and actually I've run past the day I was supposed to go by, but like this is the favourite time I'm gonna go. There is cyclonic spin approaching the Lesser Antilles and then coming off the Cabo Verde Islands. So as we go on, we're gonna see this more pronounced, and the GFS is showing through the middle of the month a CAG, basically a Central American Gyre. So like what that does is basically like winds come from the east to west, and then it circulates back from west to east, and it's like a circulation. And then what can happen is sometimes it can detach themselves into even the Eastern Pacific or the western parts of the Caribbean, and then say it comes off in the western parts of the Caribbean. If the conditions are favourable enough, it can concentrate and then form into a storm. So that's like one of the things to watch out. If we look at the sea surface temperature anomalies here, so if we're looking at the Gulf of Mexico, the western parts of the Caribbean, it's plenty warm, 31 degrees. It's the Gulf of Mexico in recent days has been really starting to heat up, and so has the Caribbean. So basically, it's go time in the Atlantic, and everyone now, if you weren't before, should have your hurricane plan ready. Make sure you have your generator ready. where you're gonna go if there's a hurricane threatening your area, everything. Make sure you're prepared now before like a storm could come your way. Have a look at the eastern tropical Atlantic, like the MDR region here. It's starting to warm up more nicely as well. It's starting to come past north of the Cabo Verde Islands, and it's starting to advance even more east. So basically, the MDR is more or less ready now. As we go on throughout the month, it's going to get more and more favourable, and like the dry L is starting to lift more and more north. So as we go on, it's just going to get more and more favourable, basically. Yeah, look at the ocean heat content here. I'll zoom in to make sure it's easier to see. So basically, ocean heat content. So the skin of the ocean, like say it's 26 degrees, 27, and so on, right? Ocean heat content is how deep does 80 degrees, 80 to 81 degree Fahrenheit basically goes. So basically, anything in my opinion above 50, it's quite sufficient for like storms to maintain themselves. In the western parts of the Caribbean, you're basically between 150, 175 in the Caribbean, basically off the charts. Like, it's kind of like Western Pacific levels of ocean heat content, and that's quite unusual for the Caribbean. The Caribbean's always warm, especially with ocean heat content, but this is abnormally above average. And if you look at the East Coast, yeah, so off the East Coast of Florida, towards the Carolinas and northwards, the Gulf Stream's is more above normal as well, like 75 to 100. So basically, the whole Atlantic's ready. So anything from around here and further down is basically ready for development. So basically, it's just a matter of time. Once the MGO comes and the negative convectivity coupled Kelvin wave comes, that's when basically we're going to see some kick up in activity. So as I said before the start of the video, I'm going to talk about the MGO as well. So the MGO, the Mountain Julian Oscillation, is basically rise of motion as well. So at the minute it's in phase 4. So it isn't in like America yet or anything, but it's going to start advancing into the Western Pacific. But the closer to the circle here, the weaker the mountain so the closer to here it is, the weaker the Mountain Julian Oscillation is. So basically, the weaker the rise of motion is. The further out it goes here, the more rise of motion there is here. And as you see here from the JFS ensemble members here, it's going to start moving into phase 8 here, which is Western Hemisphere and Africa. So that could promote rise of motion around Africa. And like it looks like from all the ensembles, we could see a moderate MGO passing Africa here. So that'll leave in its wake a positive phase of potentially storms forming. So basically, everything is pointing towards the end of the month or middle of the month onwards. It's going to start getting active. So make sure you have your preparations ready because it's coming. And as Mark Sudduth has said, and other people have said, it's coming. It's just a matter of time now, and we'll have to face the facts here. And it's not to alarm, and that like the worst thing to do is just to curl up in like a shell and go, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. There is. And I'll be here throughout the season as well to keep you updating on that, and try to don't take my official advice to do anything because I'm not official. So obviously seek your local weather office and the National Hurricane Center for advice. But I'll be here to kind of help you on that. So I'll say if where the storm could track and that and things like that. So please keep yourself safe and that, and I'll keep doing updates as well. Just make sure you're ready for the hurricane season, and as I say, it's coming. It's just a matter of time now. So I hope you found it informative, and I'll do another video update tomorrow.